Oz scene. Jones, talk to me. Who's your money on?
Be on Python, the legend.
Forward.
But Ruby's a great player as well. He can make a dent on Python's ambitions.
What is it? Have you guys had the conversation of like who is the greatest Australian player of all time? Because there's a few good options. Obviously, Python's one of the best known names. You've got Phrase, you've got Zanaku now.
I would say there's always like
legacy?
it's hard because there's always sort of been, especially in QC anyway. I'm pretty new. Like I haven't been around for Quake Live days, so back then there's probably other players I don't know about. But for QC, there's always sort of been the top four with Dan the King, Steege, Zanaku, and Python. Probably, yeah, the top four, like the Quake names of Oz. I'd probably have to edge it out, probably to Steege.
Yeah, Steege.
Out of all those players. Fortunately, he hasn't been around for this. He's not around for this tourney. But yeah, all the thing is, those top, like especially the top three, Dan, Steege, and Tanaka, were always so close together. Python, extremely good player, but yeah, not like maybe like half a step beneath them.
Right.
And yeah, so it's always been such a big battle between our top players, and then it's like a really big jump sort of down to the next tier. But like, if you asked me a year ago, like this match here between Ruby and Python, I would have said Python hands down, not even close. But after seeing what because Ruby's actually a Japanese player, so after seeing some of these Asian players come into the game, show that they are extremely good, and yeah, like he is quite high on the leaderboard at the moment, actually.
Well, that's what we like to see. International Quake is something that is, compared with a lot of esports, it's actually been a little bit underwhelming because, of course, Quake never really got a hold in the likes of Korea, China, or Japan. But every time we get an opportunity to see that side of things, it's always very, very welcomed. And I remember for the longest time, Japanese players have been putting out fantastic frag movies, especially in Warsaw for some reason. I don't know why there's a Japanese Warsaw community, but there is. And it's sort of a scene that is unfortunately, if you'll pardon the pun, over there on its little island. But the more we can interact with them, the better. And yeah, Python, an absolute legend, has been around for such a long time and always at the highest level as well.
Yeah.
As we are now waiting for our picks, it is going to be Ruins with Galena and Ison, Molten with Visor and Ranger, and Corrupted Keep with BJ and Strog. Anything that jumps out to you there, boys, or is that all pretty business as usual?
First two maps are business as usual. The third map, BJ, is not really the meta pick anymore, but still a good one. Pretty much meta at the moment.
Say Python, not Python. VJ on CK though, you can see some like a very aggressive like spawn pushes, with a dual wield shotgun or something like that. So there might be some interesting play there coming out from Python.
Oh, and also going back to what you've been saying about Ruby improving, looking at the standings, Ruby is 6-2, Python is 5-2, so very close in the standings. This is going to be an important match. Whoever wins this should be in a very good position to make it to the final bracket. So it's gonna be a good one.
Absolutely. Although Ruins of Sarnath with Galena and Ison does strike me, I'm gonna say it, is a little bit boring. That's a big map with two characters that can't move and have turrets or totems.
Battle of the deployables.
Sickening, honestly. Where's the slack?
I'd say Galena is a common pick, obviously, on Ruins, but Ison, maybe not quite as much, but I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Ruby was doing that to deny that from Python, actually. Yeah, he plays a lot of eyes. Maybe it's a bit of a strategic pick there, potentially.
Yeah, I'm thinking the range, though, for the turret, it doesn't really work over a certain distance. And Ruins of Sarnath is big.
Yeah. Really big. Pretty much just the intel he'll be getting from it, the sound when it tries to lock, but...
Yeah, that's a good shot. Well, we are about to get into it. It is Ruins of Sarnath. It is Ruby versus Python Jones. Join me, won't you, for this, our third and final match of the day here in Div 1. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. I'm getting excited. Players are ready. We are ready. It's going to be an important matchup for the standings as the regular season is winding to a close. Yeah, and players have to battle it out for position.
Don't they just? Here we go then. On Ruins of Sarnath as we are just warming up. Ruby on the ice and Python on the Kalena.
Round begins in.
And
3,
yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. See what form these boys are in. I am going to do the Cardinal sin of checking their pings. Okay, 110 for Python, 75 for Ruby. This could be a little bit scrappy, but we will have to see. As Ruby immediately gets a little bit of a rough start, I think.
Oh, great rail by Python, leaving Ruby extremely low for the time being, relegated to the LG area. Doesn't have any light armors to go to. Almost bumps into the totem. Oh, Python with a good rocket jump, applying a ton of pressure onto Ruby. Oh, on the rail to finish it off. And there's a heavy waiting for Python. Yeah, so great start for Python. He has Ruby right where he wants him. Ruby waiting for Python to make a move into the LG room. Python not falling for that. Oh, there's a totem. Oh, good rails from Python, keeping Ruby low, but Ruby answering in kind.
Yeah, keeping them both relatively even on the stack here. Could well just see a major item trade. I think Python's happy to take his heavy and he'll know that the Mega's going away. Or not, as Ruby tries to play this a little bit aggressively. And yeah, fantastic rocket from Python.
Oh, and good rail as well, eliminating the armor from the light. And Ruby keeps being on the back foot, even though he's getting items, he's getting some control.
Yeah, done a good job to not give away too much in what was a little bit of a disadvantageous situation. Python once again on the heavy, Ruby though on the mega. And we have more or less even stacks once again. Rocket comes out from Ruby, doesn't really do a whole lot, but Python's wide of the mark as well. And, well, it's handbags at dawn as neither is doing much damage at the moment.
Yeah, but great play from Python to apply pressure on the light armor. And now we see a big fight. LG on LG and Python goes down. Ruby on 14 HP, he's gotta be careful. Python spawns by the tribal, will make his way towards Mega, and Ruby has a chance to breathe a little bit. Oh, Python's now on Mega. The turret firing at the totem, that's always fun to see. And again, Ruby under the LG room.
That was so decisive from Python. He bet the house on himself there. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna hit these rockets and it'll all be fine.
Yeah, all the chips, car keys, everything on the table. But now he has a good stack, overstack on both armor and health. Will try to contest or at least deal damage on the Mega. He will not. Will get his totem economy going though. He's got only one totem set up, and we'll be looking to get his totem number 2. Oh, now we see a turret being deployed. Python escaping the area before the turret has any chance to deal any damage. Yeah, and Ruby again, really low.
Yeah, absolutely. And Python will get onto the heavy. For the first time, there's enough of a gap between heavy and mega to potentially get both.
Oh, the
RJ, the direct. Yes, Python, you absolute legend.
Favor you.
That's what we're here to see.
Isn't it just? That was superb.
Oh, now we're gonna see another fight over by Railgun, but Python has good position to just escape. Ruby must have seen that totem, and he clears it out. Leaves that turret at the heavy. They again trade items. It's been the story of the map so far. Ruby now holding the high ground. Python having to run around a little bit, trying to find a better position. Oh, good job from Python trying to keep Ruby low. That's good pressure, but if he doesn't hit those rails, the pressure doesn't mean much. Oh, and that turret being the MVP at the moment. Yeah, and Ruby is within one. Oh, he bangs his head. Forced to rocket jump twice. This is a lot of armor to get that mega.
3-2 then. So close between these two. Ruby with a decent stack here, going to be coming in, trying to assert themselves on the next heavy, I would imagine.
Yeah, both players not setting themselves up in red heavy room, but quite close. Ruby happy to try to deal damage from afar. Python will pick up that heavy. And Ruby will make his way to Mega, but Python being faster with a rocket jump. For what seems to be...
The rail with the RJ brings them really close. Oh, what is that?
Wow, that was a brilliant rocket. The Python will heal up with a totem. Oh, that turret almost gets Python. Python low now, must run around trying to get some items. And Ruby has a real opportunity to establish himself if he can get that Mega, but both players now railable. Ruby does not have position, so he does not make a move on Mega. Python still not in the clear after getting Mega. He will have to get some armor first. Or we'll make a play for heavy, and the Ruby will collect the light by Tribolt. Oh, Python going up the jump pad a little bit too early. Sets up that totem and now is in a good position to make a move on this Mega, but Ruby already waiting, picks it up immediately. Nowhere to go for Python right now. He's got his totem economy going, so now he can make a move. Try to deal some damage onto Ruby. And Ruby, despite being in control, does not have a huge stack lead. Let's go LG on a falling Python, but Python gets him with a rocket launcher. But he's low. He's gotta watch out. Gets the heavy. Oh, and runs into Ruby's starting machine gun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, goes in trying to get a refrag, but can't quite get Ruby to be low enough to get that frag. That's a brilliant rocket from Ruby.
Yeah, been doing so much for them this game. 4-3, then Python now on the ropes here. And it is now a tied game with 2 minutes and 45 seconds remaining. Python actually has to leave just before Heavy didn't have the weaponry to fight.
Yeah, but we do see now a very well stacked Python. Having just picked up that Mega, but again the rockets from Ruby. Trying to hit the rail on the light armor. And does. Now Python solo.
People that play with high ping, handshake emoji,
stopwatch,
hitting good rockets. That's what it's all about.
Oh, good LG from Ruby and great rail, and Ruby's in the lead.
Taken.
5-4, 2 minutes remaining. Python needs something.
Oh
right
no,
now.
it's
He's
up
gonna
for
try
the
and get
Mega.
Ooh, and Ruby in what should have been a definite major item pickup and almost certainly a frag as well. He gets neither.
At least he didn't give up a frag on that engagement. Oh, now even gets the light armor, so things are looking a little bit sunnier for Ruby. That turret giving him the exact information he wants on what Python is about to do. Ruby getting both lights, doesn't have the heavy though. I do believe Python... he does not have the 3 totems up. 8 seconds until he gets his third. And Ruby should have the turret ready for the next engagement, which could decide the map with only 1 minute to go. Python gets the heavy, and that's a stack to Galena. Going for a fight here. Ruby trying to get that Mega, doesn't have the stack really to make a move on it. And Python, yeah, gets the tying frag.
We are equalized, and I feel like Python's in a pretty commanding position. Now, going to be dropping the Rocket's good, the Rail is not, but the chase continues, and now Rocket's out. Frag is there, 35 seconds remain, and Ruby trails by 1. 3 times.
Ruby has to make a move quickly. That's a good Rail. Almost hits the second one. Python, though, with the 3 totems up, will be able to heal up. And as they trade Rails, that completely benefits Python with the higher stack. Oh, good LG from Ruby. Getting a lot of damage. Python is now low. Almost a frag. The turret can't get it. 5 seconds to go.
It's over. Is it? It is.
It's over. Ruby's so close to getting the tying frag, but Python so smartly getting out of the way and escaping to the lower ground. Oh, what a nail biter of a match.
Absolutely ridiculous. Python comes out on top by the skin of his teeth. Both of them, if you look at the damages there, really, really heavy rocket usage, a little bit more rel coming out of Ruby. And I feel like that's quite indicative of how it actually went. In the more straight up fights where they were both engaging, the advantage went to Python. But Ruby was getting a lot of chip damage done.
Yeah, and because Python had a lot more control, Ruby had to fight from afar and use the rail a little bit more to kind of chip that stack down and be on equal grounds.
Exactly. As we now move on to Molten Falls, and we both try to remember who the champion picks are.
Visor for Python, Ranger for Ruby on Molten Falls.
Okay.
It's gonna be a little bit faster paced, I'd say, with the Ranger having the cheaper rocket jumps and the orb.
Yeah, and also Molten Falls is got to be one of the most straightforward maps and one of the smaller maps as well, especially when compared with Ruins of Samus.
Yeah, Ruins is massive. But that was an entertaining map one. Yeah, so of course Python will have to watch out for those for that orb, and with the piercing sight, he should have enough information to make those kinds of decisions.
Yeah, so we will now be switching as well to Python's home server. Could change things. We'll have to see. Hopefully we get a match every bit as good as the Sanath though, because that was really, really special.
Yeah, that was a really good match, down to the wire as well. With a little bit more luck, Ruby could have come back. Of course, not saying Python was lucky on winning. He did play a slightly better game, but could have gone either way. And hopefully, we get another tight match here as well. So Python 1-0 up. If he wins the map, wins the series, Ruby has to win the map to have a chance. And this is gonna be an important map on the standings.
Here we go. Are you excited, ladies and gents? I do hope you are, as this could well be our final map of the night, but also potentially the penultimate. I sure hope so, as Ruby needs to fight for a map number 3. Python looking to close it out.
Yeah, let's go, chat. Let's see those bats on your favorite player. The points are there to be gambled, and yeah, we're gonna go to map 2.
Prepare to fight.
Here we go then. Just 5 seconds remain until we are on board. I'm going to start with Python, who took map 1, making his way to the rocket. It's going to be the Mega after that. After a light... Ooh, looking for damage or an LG? Yeah, interesting. And that means, of course, there won't be an item clash. We've got 4 seconds between them.
Yeah, but also that means that if Ruby thinks that Python is going to go for LG as he did, Python is in the clear to get his railgun. Oh, fantastic rockets! Ruby is so low already, and that's the first frag for Python, but it's not in the clear for a refrag. If Ruby makes his way, he still has the orb.
Yeah, fantastic execution from Python. Yeah, Ruby can't find him, so that is going to be the heavy. Mega goes the way of Ruby, who now has a stack advantage. Quite a considerable one as well. But Python is in a workable spot, has timing on both items, I would imagine. If he can hit a nice rail, this fight could be his. He's going to push in, asserts himself with the visor, and ooh, misses the RJ. Now, struggling to find an answer, but Ruby finally starts hitting, and in a very, very weird turn of events, they both walk away with their lives and the Mega item.
Oh, good LG there from Python.
Until it wasn't.
Until it wasn't. Oh no! Ruby out of the map. That's always terrible to see. Oh, here we see a nice piercing sight to get that rail off spawn. And that means that the heavy will be for free for Python. So no rail for Ruby at the moment, which means that Python can go for those long-range fights without running much risks. Be aware of that. Escapes the area, tries to go for the high ground where he can dish out those rockets. Oh, good use of the tri-bolt again, dwindling that stack down. Oh no, Python missing his rail.
Ever since they put in that new tri-bolt skin, everyone has been hitting so.
Yeah, the Quake 1 grenade launcher. Yeah, but oh no, again another miss. Python sitting in 1 for 4 for his rails. Yeah, now Ruby waiting around the teleporter exit. Oh, he's gonna get in a lot of good damage. Python has to be careful. And again, great tri-bolt, down to 14 points of health. He needs to find bubbles fast. Luckily for him, Ruby also doesn't have the stack to fight this.
Yeah, Python did so well there with the rails, and now catching the back of Ruby. The LG strikes true. Ruby couldn't dodge there because they were in a doorway, and that's 3-0, 3 minutes in.
Yeah, Ruby has to start finding some answers. I like the strategy of playing for the high ground and playing for getting shared control, but gotta do a little bit more with the railgun. Currently sitting at 1 for 5.
Okay, Ruby with the stack. What can they do with it? It's going to be a trade
That's a good rail. Oh, Ruby now showing up for heavy. That's a good LG fight. Good rocket as well. This could be a frag. 1 HP for Python. Ruby makes his way to the heavy. Gets heavy, and that's a brilliant orb and a good finish with the shoddy. Yeah. Python going in for the refrag. Ruby gets the item. Python already so extremely low. Python on 28 HP can't escape, and all of a sudden Ruby climbs back to within 1.
Whenever that happens to me when I'm playing Visor, I get so frustrated. I'm like, if I was Death Knight, that fight would have been great. Instead, I can see you through walls, and you're right in front of me, and it's not helpful.
Yeah, nothing you can really do apart from just watching. Seeing the wall, seeing your opponent behind the wall. Yeah, but now Ruby's on full control, and Python is gonna let him have Mega. Trying to get that little bit extra armor before making a move, getting the rail as well.
Okay. Python moving pretty decisively at the moment. Wants to make his way over to the heavy. One route. Tri-bolt
the tri-bolt?
the second time. Yeah, it's going to be a major trade, I think. Should be anyway, but
Ruby has great position. Ruby, it's a good orb.
It's a great orb.
Smell of gunpowder.
3 for 3. Best skin in the game, the Quake 3 plasma rifle. Massive respect.
Yeah, now Ruby having to concede heavy, so now Python the one with a bit of a stack advantage. But Ruby, holding the proper angle, will try to make his way towards Mega. Don't know what Python's plan is, trying to deal rocket damage. Arrives a little bit too late, so Python, Ruby now has a bit of a lifeline and will be able to fight for this heavy. Might be able to get it. As Python makes his way there. Oh, the rockets don't connect from either player. Oh, that's a great rocket from Ruby, and now Python is on the back foot. Has to be careful, will have to concede this Mega to Ruby. We'll be running around with a ton of stack. Yeah, Ruby trying to defend the light armor. Python can't risk much at the moment, doesn't have enough stack to go for a full-on fight.
Yeah, doesn't really seem to know what they want to do at the moment, and I fear that's because there's just no good options in their mind. Mega coming up into. I'm surprised that Ruby isn't here. Visor will be used. 2 rails. Oh, could have been a third. Python can always back up onto the Mega, and he will do now with the advantage, pushing on to heavy in 15.
And there's enough segregation in between the items that he will be able to make his way towards heavy. The rockets from Ruby are good. Oh, very good. Orb. Oh, and the orbs absolutely gets that frag. But Ruby isn't in the clear yet, doesn't have HP. Now with those 2 bubbles will be in a better position. Oh, now Python is low and the Mega is still a few seconds away. Oh, he jumps for it. Oh, the throw!
Yes!
Out of the map! Yeah, that's what we want to see.
Fantastic.
Frustrating for Ruby as he had full advantage on that fight.
And 2 rails clinical from Python.
Yeah, and he gets the heavy too. Oh, Ruby misses that rail. It would have been important. Oh, the rails don't really connect. Python will keep his control momentum going. Oh, that's a very good fake rocket jump as Ruby fell for it. Now has to give up position on the item.
And that should be going the way of Python, who's going to have a very scary stack indeed. Ability is used. Going to fake the jump pad.
I was going to leave the item up for the time being.
Yeah, this is interesting. I think he wanted to trap Ruby a little bit, but I think he's just given away the Mega for it.
Yeah, but now Ruby will be trying to contest the heavy that doesn't exist.
Interesting.
And
Very weird circumstance.
Yeah, but being in the lead with the shared control and items on the same time, you can just do this. Ruby trying to contest the heavy, Python will just pick up Mega. And that's another 15 seconds killed off the clock.
Yeah, I tell you, it speaks to Python's confidence. I never feel this comfortable with a minute remaining and only 1 frag. I have found so many ways to throw that in the past. But Python here, quite content to play it slow, quite content to rely on his ability to survive. But this is it. This is a huge fight. Orb comes in. The rocket off the mark. 23 HP. It's going to be 2 bubbles for Python, though, as they both back up onto the major. But Ruby doesn't have time. He's got to go, 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 go.
Ruby want to make a final move.
There it is.
Oh, what a rocket! And... Oh, that was a real... Oh, he could have dealt more damage off the spawn as he spawned within his line of sight, but That is a great play by Python. What a rocket.
I take it all back. Visor's ability, definitely useful for killing people. I take it all back. Oh, what a series. I mean, it was a 2-0, but still absolutely sensational stuff.
Both maps down to the wire. The 2-0 is a bit of a lie here.
It really is.
Ruby put up a huge fight and could have taken both maps if things were slightly different. But of course, Python with a win, well-earned win. Yeah, now Python and Ruby tied in wins. They are both on 7 wins, of course. Yeah, Ruby still, I think, with one match remaining. Yeah, and Python as well.
Well, there we have it. That is our little show with our 3 best of 3s. It's been 2-0s all day long, but very entertaining ones at that. To start with, we saw Spud Hunter sadly fall, which none of us are happy about, but it happened. We can't help it. Ratsup was the winner there. We then moved on to Mike versus Shrulls, which, again, another great series. Mike came out on top looking so solid, and the series you just watched, Ruby versus Python, absolutely sensational. Talk to me, Jones. Talk to me, Fuzzy. How do you feel about today's games?
Wow, amazing matches. The community absolutely delivered. Yeah, I can't wait for the finals. I can't wait for the finals. Matches are going to be great.
Yeah, that was a extremely exciting last match there. These 2 players are just both so good, and again, 2 players who we could definitely see in the finals of Div 1. Honestly, Div 1 is super interesting at the moment. There are so many players who are all like this being, like Knight took out Dan the King was a major upset. There's all these, yeah, there's so many like matches where you can't predict who's going to win. So I think coming towards finals of Div 1, we're going to see a lot of upsets. A lot of matches you wouldn't expect to see, so it's going to be exciting.
Sounds good to me. Production, is there anything I need to say, or are we going to wrap this one up?
No, we're going to wrap this one up next week. It's not really sure if we have a show, because I think there is something going on in Australia, like a national holiday. See the Twitch schedule. I'll update our Twitch schedule, and you can see when we are streaming again. Next week we also have some pop-up streams for the German Quake community. Just be sure to follow us and ring the bell for instant notifications.
Do it. Thank you to everyone for watching. Thank you to both Fuzzy and, of course, Jones for casting today. Thank you, Rob, for doing all the production and the organisation and all that. Thank you to the AQL. We'll be back when we're back.